Yo, what's up, guys? How's it going? Hopefully well. Great to see you guys, as always. Always happy to see you guys and talk to you guys, especially in the comment section. So make sure you're writing some comments because I respond to you guys. You guys know I will respond and talk to you. There's no problem with that. But let's talk about this video today. There's a video that we're about to react to talking about a mega anti-Trump trade alliance. Now, this is from the channel EU Made Simple. I'm new to the channel. This is the first video I've seen over here. So I'm going to look at this. We're going to talk about it and see what's going on. But you know, they say, hey, listen, they're saying enough is enough. Donald Trump. Donald Punk. I mean Trump, guys. Stop it. Screwing up my words now. Anyway, let's get into this video. And as always, let me know which country and city you are chiming in from, and I will be sure to drop you a hello of what's up. And if y'all got if you have any questions for me, ask them in the comment sections. No problem at all. But let's go.
People, we have some exciting times ahead, as Europe might actually be getting its act together when it comes to trade. I mean, we signed the Mercosur deal only a couple of months ago. And then came India, another massive deal. And now there's actually serious talk of an Australia deal that we might be able to close by March. And honestly, fuck yes, Europe. Let's diversify away from the US as quickly as we can. Because, as we all know, relying on one erratic superpower for our economic survival is a recipe for disaster. So, the more friends, the better. But the real holy grail is the latest buzz about building a bridge between the European Union and the CPTPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnerships. And we're talking about creating the single largest trading bloc the world has ever seen. And a good friend of the channel, Mark Carney, sees this as a top priority. He recently said,
"On plurilateral trade, we're championing efforts to build a bridge between the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the European Union, which would create a new trading bloc of 1.5 billion people."
Sounds kind of incredible, right? But let's actually break down what this all means, and whether this is just hype or a genuine game changer. First off, the CPTPP, and my god, they really need a better acronym. Even while doing the research for this, I don't think I typed it correctly once without literally backspacing every time. Anyway, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership is a massive trade group made up of 12 countries scattered across the globe. You've got Japan, Canada, Australia, Vietnam, New Zealand, Singapore, Mexico, Peru, Brunei, Chile, Malaysia, and most recently, the UK. And it's not just about lowering tariffs on things like cars or wine. It's a pretty deep integration deal. They agreed to eliminate around 99% of tariffs between members. And crucially, they've set high standards on things like digital trade, intellectual property, and labor rights. And to be honest, the bloc carries some serious weight. The CPTPP represents about 13% of global GDP, 15% of global trade, and covers around 510 million people. The EU, on the other hand, represents about 15% of global GDP, 16% of global trade, and covers roughly 450 million people.
Yeah. Listen, that sounds like some good news right there. Sounds like some good news, but like he said, are they just blowing smoke? But if that's true, it's a game changer. For real.
Now, I will be very honest with you. I was a little confused by Carney's 1.5 billion people figure, since our math only adds up to about 960 million. But I think he's playing the long game here, and including prospective members like South Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. Anyway, regardless of the exact headcount, if we created a formal alliance between these two powerhouses, it would be a massive middle finger to both China and the US. And I love that. It would also signal to the rest of the world that the middle powers are finally moving ahead by themselves. That being said though, how would this actually work? Because the EU already has free trade agreements, or in short FTAs, with almost every CPTPP member, with the exception of Australia, Malaysia, and Brunei. So, will this mega alliance actually even benefit us? The short answer, yes. The longer answer is about a bit more technical details. Because, for one, we're not talking about creating a new free trade agreement. We are talking about supply chain integration here. Or in other words, aligning something called rules of origin between the EU and CPTPP members. For example, imagine you're a German car manufacturer building a high-end electric vehicle. You source your high-tech batteries from Japan because they're simply the best. That battery makes up about 35% of the car's total value. You then finish the car in Germany and slap a Made in Germany sticker on it and ship it to a dealership in Vancouver, Canada. You're feeling great because the EU and Canada have a trade deal, CETA, so you expect it to be tax-free. But then the Canadian custom officers stops you. He looks at the paperwork and says, wait a minute, 35% of this car is Japanese. And under the specific rules of our EU deal, that's too much foreign content. To me, this is not a European car, it's a hybrid mess. And even though Canada has a deal with Europe and Canada has a deal with Japan, the car still gets slapped with a tariff. It's a bureaucratic nightmare, to be honest, and makes our exports way more expensive for pretty much zero reason. And
Yeah, hold on. So you got an agreement with Germany and an agreement with Japan. What is the tariff for? What's the name of the tariff and what are they charging the tariff based on? If you got an agreement with the two countries that the car was manufactured by. Man.
This is what Mark Carney wants to change with this new mega trade alliance. He wants to build a bridge where the rules of origin are treated the same way across this 40-plus country bloc. If we go back to our example, imagine you're that very same German manufacturer again, shipping that same EV with the same Japanese battery to Canada. This time though, the Canadian customs officer looks at the middle power sticker on the crate. He sees the Japanese battery and says, oh, Japan, they're part of the bridge. They're one of the middle powers, and their parts count as local content for us now. So, because the rules...
But it should be like that right now. Why does that trade alliance have to happen for it to be like that when you have an agreement with both countries? That don't make sense.
Are aligned now, the Japanese battery is treated as if it were made in Berlin. The car sails through with a 0% tariff. And this is what the experts or nerds call cumulation. It allows European companies to source the best parts from Japan, Vietnam, or Australia, and then export the final product to any member of the alliance without getting penalized at the border. And it turns a messy web of paperwork into one clean, unstoppable economic engine. But the scope of this bridge goes even deeper than just car parts. It's also about cutting red tape at the border and trusting each other's safety checks. In plain English, this means that if a product is approved and safe in the EU, CPTPP countries accept it, and vice versa. No more paying twice for the very same test. So, what happens next? Back in November 2025, EU and CPTPP trade ministers officially launched a trade and investment dialogue to start coordinating on these global challenges. And since then, business groups across Europe have been getting louder and louder, from the massive industrial lobbies in Germany to the tech sector in the UK. They're all pushing Brussels and London to stop dragging their feet and forge ahead with this rules of origin deal. And then there's Canada. They've been the real MVP here. Since the start of 2026, Ottawa has been aggressively pushing his agenda, playing matchmaker to link the EU and CPTPP trade systems into one coherent web. The next big milestone is the WTO ministerial in early 2026. Expect to see some serious informal huddling between the EU and CPTPP leaders there. But a full concrete protocol on shared rules of origin probably won't be signed until after 2026, as the technical groundwork is happening right now. But it's safe to say that if the political support holds and the US and China continue to be difficult, we are looking at the birth of a new economic superpower. This is what I think. Yes, Yes, and another double, triple yes. These are the kind of deals we need to be making super quickly. And to be honest, this whole de-risking from the US is opening such incredible opportunities for us. It's really left a gaping hole that middle powers like the EU, Canada, and Japan can just pick up and run with. Let's get this signed as soon as possible. And as usual, I have to bring this up, because this is like our tiered EU model, where our CPTPP partners can be in tier 4, which we call an alliance of middle powers, and trade fits in perfectly here. And within this tier, we can also align it with our 70% made in Europe rule, which is currently being discussed in Brussels. For those that don't know, it's pretty much a new rule that might come into effect that if companies get government subsidies, it needs to have its parts or its supply chain 70% of it in Europe. But we should apply that 70% threshold to the entire mega alliance, as it would solidify our supply chain pretty much overnight with like-minded and democratic partners. You know, the middle powers, as a third pillar in the world of global powers. That would be great, to be honest. And my god, I have to mention again, don't you just love Carney? He stands there at Davos and actually puts a vision with concrete actions on the table. I really wish there was a little bit more of that from our European leaders. Yes, Merz wasn't bad in his speech at the Munich Security Council, but I just expected more. I want an action plan. Where's Europe in 2030? Where's in 2035? You know, that kind of vision. That's what we need more of. And I hope at the next European Council meeting in March, we will see that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to support us further, please do sign up to Patreon. Your support really keeps this channel going. And thank you so much to our existing presidents already. You know who you are. Christian, Peter, Clement, Daniel, Dev, Eupedia, Giuseppe, HEVD, J. Kiki, Loxen, Mashia, Mikael, Rashid, Chauki, Jan, Stefan, Unite Europe, Martin, and Ave Europa. And then our newest president, Martin. Thank you so much for joining, and see you in the next video.
All right, brother.
Imaginez pouvoir créer n'importe quoi, rien qu'en y pensant.
Look like that's going to be a good thing for Europe, Canada, CTPP, whatever this thing is. It's a good thing. And I'm between like a rock and a hard place because I'm American. I have family in America. I want America to succeed, which I'm pretty sure they will, but I want these other countries to succeed as well and not be influenced by bullies. You know what I mean? So I'm against bullying. It is what it is, and America is a bully. So listen, good luck, and I hope it works out for the EU for sure. And plus, I live in the EU, so you know. But I got family in America. All my family's in America. Just tough. What do you guys think, man? You think this is going to benefit the EU and Canada heavily or not? I believe so. But let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video.